dignitaries to please take their seats on the stage so that we can commence today's symposium. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's symposium on Unravelling India's New Foreign Trade Policy for India's Growth, organized this morning by Bharat's Chamber of Commerce and the Indian Council of Arbitration. Our chief guest this morning is one of the most important persons for the industry, particularly the exporters. Let me introduce you to Shri Sunil Barthwal, Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India. During his rich and varied experience as an IAS officer, Shri Barthwal has held various administrative positions in the areas of finance, social security, investment, infrastructure, mines, steel, energy, transport, etc., at the government at central and state levels. He has also worked in the Competition Commission of India. Shri Barthwal has been on the boards of the Steel Authority of India Limited, NMDC, MECON, MSTC, and NIIF. He was the CEO of Employees Provident Fund Organization and has been instrumental in many reforms in EPFO. Shri Barthwal has, to his credit, publications of a number of articles in journals and has represented India in many international forums. Shri Barthwal is an IAS officer of Bihar Cadre. A very warm welcome to you, Shri Barthwal. Also on the stage, we have Mr. N.G. Khaitan, President of Bharat Chamber of Commerce and the Indian Council of Arbitration. Mr. N.G. Khaitan is a senior partner of Khaitan & Company, one amongst the top 3 law firms in India. He was awarded Bell Chambers Gold Medal for standing first in all the law examinations by the Incorporated Law Society, Kolkata. Bharat's Chamber of Commerce is one of the oldest, largest, and leading chambers of commerce in India. This year, we completed 124 years of our establishment, and we have worked in various sectors like the steel, cement, food processing, MSMEs, and other sectors. The chamber also has 2 young wings like the Bharat Chamber Ladies Forum and the Bharat Chamber Young Business Forum to voice opinions of the young Indian entrepreneurs. On the stage, we have Mr. Arun Chawla, the Director General of the Indian Council of Arbitration, the Apex Arbitral Institution of India, and the former Director General of the Federation of the Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI, India's apex business chamber representing industry and trade. The ICA was established in 1965 to promote and facilitate the use of arbitration, conciliation, and other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms for the settlement of commercial disputes. As an arbitral institution, it has gained the status of national importance recognized by the Ministry of Law. Also on the stage, we have Mr. Rajkumar Agrawal, the Vice President of Bharat Chamber of Commerce, and Madam K.K. Sharma, the Secretary General of Bharat Chamber of Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, let us start the symposium in a different way today. We have with us this morning Shourendra Shomojit for a musical rendition. Shourendra and Shomojit is one of the most popular Indian performing duo today. They produce, compose, perform together across the globe. Having specialized in curated projects and rare experiments, the duo has a signature soundscape with the essence of traditional forms, draped in contemporary signatures accepted by music lovers globally. Shomojit is a vocal student of the legendary Pandit Ajay Chakraborty and performs all forms of Indian music. Shorendro is a disciple of Pandit V. Balsara and Ustad Vilayat Hussain Khan and follows the German New Age pianist Professor Martin Kubert in his new innovative approach, which he calls the Indian piano. The duo's music series has won many accolades. Shorendro Shomojit delivered inspirational lectures, musical demonstrations for world-famous platforms like TED Talks, different acclaimed schools of music, literary festivals to promote Indian music and their innovative ideas. They have delivered lectures at the Samford School of Music and the Euskirchen School of Music in Germany. They have traveled all across Europe, the USA, UK, Singapore, Australia, and the Middle East, besides performing in all corners of India with their creative productions. They have performed at the British Museum Pink Ball International Test Match at the Eden Gardens International Book Fair and the Nehru Centre, London. They have performed extensively for the Indian Army, the Prime Minister, and the President of India. Over to Shorendro and Shomojit, please take the stage.
Namaskar and a very good evening, good morning, sorry. Good afternoon. We are so honored to be here this morning, and without taking much of your time, we'll take you to some of the compositions that we felt like, starting this session with. The first one would be, of course, Gandhiji's favorite bhajan that we want to, present in Rag Khamaj. Re तेरे हरे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए पीड़ पराए जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तो मन अभिमान ना आने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने सकल लोक मां सहुने बलते निंदा न करे के नीरे रे पा गम बदनिदा निदा धनि निदा पद मद गम रे पामा सकल लोक सहुने बलते निंदा न करे के नीरे वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे धन धन जननी तेनी रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए पीड़ पराए जाने रे पर दुखे पर दुखे उपकार करे कोई मन अभिमान ना आने रे वैष्णव जन को तेरे तदर रे रे तेरे रे रे वैष्णव जन तो वैष्णव जन तो वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए After this, I'll not take much of your time because I know we are all waiting to listen to you. So this is a Bengali song, and you know, we always feel that this is a tailor-made song to describe Bengal by D.L. Roy. And we had the honor and privilege to perform this song a few years ago at the Victoria Memorial, celebrating Netaji's 125 in the august presence of our Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Chief Minister. So I would sing this song, and we just celebrated Netaji's birthday a few days back. So this is remembering him. And I would request all of you to please join me. Will you? भाइर কোথায় গেলে পাবে কেহ ওমা তোমার চরণ দুটি বুকে আমার ধরি আমার এই দেশেতে জন্ম যেন এই দেশেতে মরি এমন দেশটি কোথাও খুঁজে পাবে না কো তুমি সকল দেশের রানী সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি পুষ্পে পুষ্পে ভরা সাথী কুঞ্জে কুঞ্জে গায়ে পাখি পুষ্পে পুষ্পে ভরা সাথী কুঞ্জে কুঞ্জে গায়ে পাখি গুঞ্জরিয়া আসে ওলি পুঞ্জে পুঞ্জে ধে গুঞ্জরিয়া আসে ওলি পুঞ্জে পুঞ্জে ধে তারা ফুলের ওপর ঘুমিয়ে পড়ে ফুলের মধুকে এমন দেশটি কোথাও খুঁজে পাবে না কো তুমি সকল দেশের রানী সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি Let's sing it together. ধন ধান্য পুষ্প ভরা তাহার মাঝে আছে দেশ সকল দেশের সেরা ও সে স্বপ্ন দিয়ে তৈরি সে দেশ স্মৃতি দিয়ে ঘেরা এমন দেশটি কোথাও খুঁজে পাবে না কো তুমি সকল দেশের রানী সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি দেশ কো সালাম সালাম মেরে দেশ কো প্রণাম देश को प्रणाम प्रणाम सलाम प्रणाम এমন দেশটি কোথাও খুঁজে পাবে না কো তুমি সকল দেশের রানী সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি সেজে আমার জন্মভূমি Thank you. I have been asked to sing a few more, but I'll sing the last song. A last song would definitely take you to a nostalgic trail because this song is in Rag Bhairavi and almost all the forms of Bhairavi are here in this song. This song was never released on a CD or record, but I'm sure as soon as I start singing this, you will definitely go back to the early 90s. And this is also remembering one of the most important instrument of our country that truly united the nation and in one harmony. I always say that Indian cricket with a C, Indian cinema, Bollywood with a C, and our constitution with a C are the three C's that have united the country, and Doordarshan. So this is remembering Doordarshan. सुर की नदियाँ हर दिशा से बह के सागर में मिले, बादलों का रूप लेके बरसे हल्के हल्के रे, मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा, मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा, तो सुर बने हमारा, मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा, सायं तरच तयायं तरच, एक गुट बनी संग तरच, तेरा सुर मिले मेरे सुर दे नाल, मिलके बणकर नवा सुरता, सुर का दरिया बह के सागर में मिले, बदला का रूप लेके बरसने होने होने। इसेंदा नम इरुवर सुरमम नमदागुम तरदिन रेमा हारे रीरी तिसै मेरे रानालु आड़ी सै आड़ुगल मुगिनाय मरया पोरी बदपो इसै ನಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿಗೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಧ್ವನಿಯ ಸೇರಿನಂತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿಯ నా స్వరము నీ స్వరము సంగమమై మన స్వరంగా అవసరించి ఇన్నరే స్వరము ఇన్నలుడే స్వరము তুজেরো নও মোরে স্বরামান তোমার সুর মোদের সুর সৃষ্টি করো ওই কসুর তোমার সুর মোদের সুর সৃষ্টি করো ওই কসুর সৃষ্টি হো ওই কোথা তোমা মরা সারের মিলন সৃষ্টি করে ઝાડુ ચતણ મળે સૂરજો તારો મારો બને આપણો સૂર નિરાલો माझा तुमझा जुळता तारा परमर भव माझा तुमझा जुळता तारा मधुर सुरांच्या बरसती धारा सुर की नदियाँ हर दिशा से बह के सागर में मिले बादलों का रूप लेके बरसे हल्के हल्के मिले आज राधा ब्रिज को चली, आज राधा ब्रिज को चली, संगलीन पर सन की रे, संगलीन पर सन की, राधा ब्रिज को चली। तदना तो सुर बने हमारा, तो सुर बने हमारा, तो सुर बने हमारा। तेरे Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. Shorindra and Shomujit and our team, we had Himadri on drums and Himadri on bass. We had Gautam Basu doing the sound for us this morning. And I would just like to say that in a very humble way, as students of Indian classical music, we are trying to promote our ragas and the tradition that we have, the intangible cultural heritage. So, in a way, we presented Rag Bhairavi and Khamaj for you. So, if you really want to join us, then please go and subscribe to our social media, because we really need audience like you to present all our crazy experiments that we do. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Shorindra, Shomojit, for the beautiful musical renditions and the wonderful start to today's symposium. May I now request Shri Arun Chawla, Director General, Indian Council of Arbitration, to commence today's symposium with his opening remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a splendid start to the program. Wonderful start. It really gave me goosebumps, and I'm sure all of you had goosebumps too. At the outset, it's a great honor and privilege to have with us Mr. Sunil Bartwal, Union Commerce Secretary, whose visionary leadership has played a paramount role in shaping the architectural framework of India's trade policy, which we all know have a profound impact on the nation's economic trajectory. Ladies and gentlemen, in our pursuit for becoming the third largest global economy, the path we carve in international trade is of utmost importance. The success of this journey rests on how robustly our trade policies are crafted and implemented. Today, as we converge to discuss the intricacies of India's new foreign trade policy, the interaction between our esteemed guest, Mr. Bartwal, and the Indian business community takes center stage. I need not emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, but trade between nations demands seamlessness. It goes beyond the exchange of goods and services. It's about smooth flow of ideas, collaborations, and opportunities. As we delve into the intricacies of India's new foreign trade policy, we acknowledge that the fruits of growing trade are intricately tied to two fundamental aspects: the ease of doing business and the ease of dispute resolution. This brings me to the crucial linkage between the industry chambers and the Indian Council of Arbitration. The seamless functioning of our trade ecosystem, the resolution of disputes, and the facilitation of business are cornerstones on which the edifice of economic growth stands. To ignite the discourse, as the Director General of the Indian Council of Arbitration, the apex arbitral institution of India, I would like to draw your attention to a few key points that form the key ingredients for India's growth story. Among them, the fundamental point pertains to the symbiotic relationship that exists between a robust alternate dispute resolution mechanism and the economic growth of the nation. Emphasizing on arbitration and mediation, it propels us to analyze how a well-structured arbitration framework attracts and promotes a business confidence, providing a sense of security to the foreign investors and contributes to overall economic growth. Another pertinent issue that must be explored is how the inclusion of specialized trade dispute resolution centers can be effectively created with India's leading arbitral bodies like ICA, amplifying the ease of effective resolution of commercial disputes, which will act as a catalyst to the ease of doing business in India. As we navigate through these discussion points, we will strive to unravel the potential of arbitration, not merely as a dispute resolution mechanism, but as a significant aspect that will further propel economic progress. Mr. Barthwal, your role as the Union Commerce Secretary places you at the forefront of steering India's trade policies and economic initiatives. Your leadership is instrumental in guiding the nation through these transformative times. We are eager to hear your perspective on how the new foreign trade policy aligns with the broader economic vision of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. N.G. Khetan, the President of Indian Council of Arbitration, as well as the President of Bharat Chamber of Commerce, the very important Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the vibrant state of West Bengal. Mr. Khetan's leadership is not just confined to these prestigious roles, but extends to a larger commitment to fostering a culture of collaboration, innovation, and excellence in the domains of commerce and arbitration. His efforts have undoubtedly contributed to the growth and development of business community in India. As India stands at the cusp of a transformative era in international trade, this symposium is poised to be a catalyst for informed discussions, collaborative initiatives, and strategic insights that will contribute to the realization of India's vision for a resilient and thriving export sector. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the successful integration of a comprehensive foreign trade policy with a streamlined dispute resolution mechanism is crucial for catapulting India's export towards the US $2 trillion target by 2030. This symposium will pave the way for a conducive environment, fostering sustainable economic development and global trade partnerships. I once again extend a heartfelt thanks to each one of you for participation and contribution to the symposium that will ensue. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Chawla, for your opening remarks. May I now request Shri N.G. Khetan, President, Bharat Chamber of Commerce and the Indian Council of Arbitration, to deliver his welcome remarks. Thank you.
सबसे पहले तो आप सबों को 75th रिपब्लिक डे की शुभकामनाएं। आज हमारे बीच इंडिया के कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी श्री सुनील जी बर्थवाल आए हैं। मेरा मानना है कि कई दिनों के बाद कलकत्ते आए हैं आप सर, कई मे भी मैं कहूँ कई बरसों के बाद अगर आए हैं तो कई बरसों के बाद कलकत्ते आए। कई दिनों से मैं इनसे गुजारिश कर रहा था थ्रू मिस्टर चावला कि इनको कलकत्ता लाया जाए। इनका बहुत बिजी शेड्यूल रहता है। भारत में 4 सेक्रेटरीज बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हैं जो देश को चलाते हैं। एक है फाइनेंस सेक्रेटरी, अनदर इज कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी, द थर्ड इज द डिफेंस सेक्रेटरी एंड देन द होम सेक्रेटरी। इन चारों के बिना इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट हो ही नहीं सकता। तो आज इनकी उपस्थिति हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी थी कि मैं इनसे कुछ कहूं, इनसे कुछ गुजारिश करूं। हमारे जो मेंबरगण हैं उनकी कुछ जो समस्याएं हैं उनको कहूं। एक हजार बरस तक 180 to 1000 AD हमारी जीडीपी 34% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड जीडीपी थी। हमारे भारत को कहते थे सोने की चिड़िया। एंड आप विश्वास नहीं करेंगे 1747, मैंने तो कहा आपको 1000 AD तक, इन 1747 हमारी जीडीपी स्टिल वर्ल्ड की नंबर 1 जीडीपी थी, 24% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड जीडीपी। और 1900 में हमारी जीडीपी 1.4% हो गई। ये 1.4% क्यों हुई? हमारी 36 थी और 1900 में जब ब्रिटिश राज आया तब हमारी जीडीपी घट के फ्रॉम 26% टू 1.4% हो गई। जब हम आज़ाद हुए तो हमारी जीडीपी $40 बिलियन, 2.4 लाख करोड़। आज हम 2024 में हैं और 100% हमारी जीडीपी बढ़ी है एंड वी आर क्लोज टू $4 बिलियन। हम केवल जीडीपी की बात नहीं करते हैं, $4 ट्रिलियन की। हम ये देखते हैं कि भारत में कितनी उन्नति हुई। और अगर उसको हम नज़र में रखें तो 2014 में हमारी जीडीपी $2 ट्रिलियन थी, 2014 में। और इस 10 वर्षों में हमारी जीडीपी $2 ट्रिलियन से $4 ट्रिलियन तक पहुंच गई। तो ये जो 10 वर्ष का जर्नी रहा हमारा, ये केवल जीडीपी के लिए ही नहीं रहा, ये और भी कुछ हुआ इस देश में। इस देश में हम लोगों ने आम आदमियों के लिए इरेडिकेशन ऑफ पॉवर्टी के लिए लोगों की करोड़ों घर बने। आज हमारी ज़रूरत क्या है, समाज की ज़रूरत क्या है, देश की ज़रूरत क्या है? हम देश को किस लिए खुशहाल बना सकते हैं? हम देश को खुशहाल बना सकते हैं 4-5 चीज़ों से। एक है हेल्थ, एक है एडुकेशन। तो आज जो हमारी हेल्थ की व्यवस्था हुई, इंश्योरेंस हुआ लोगों का, राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट हुआ, लोगों को घर बनवाया गया, जल दिया गया, टॉयलेट्स बनाए गए। तो हम इस स्वर्ण काल में, हम तो खुश हैं कि इस स्वर्ण काल को हम देख सकते हैं और देख रहे हैं। जो लोग 21 सदी में पैदा हुए वो रियली ट्रू इंडिया देखेंगे और वो खूब लकी हैं। हम लोग तो 20th सेंचुरी में पैदा हुए, बट जो 21 सदी में पैदा हुए हैं, तो मैं इनसे क्या मांग सकता हूँ? कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी, जब हमारी ये देश की उन्नति हुई तो मैं कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी से क्या मांग सकता हूँ? बट होता है ना कि मांगने की कोई कमी नहीं होती है। हम चाहते हैं हमको मोर एंड मोर, बेसी से बेसी कुछ मिले, तो हमारी डिमांड और हमारी ज़रूरतें हमेशा बढ़ती हैं। तो एज ए प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स मेरे को बोला गया कि मैं कुछ इनके सामने हमारी जो कुछ समस्याएं हैं, कुछ जटिल हैं, कुछ सरल हैं, बट समस्याएं ही होती है। और मैं मानता हूं कि आज की जो व्यवस्था है वो व्यवस्था चाहती है कि हम ग्रो करें, हमारी इंडस्ट्री फले फूले, हम कमाएं, बाहर से विदेशों से लोग आएं, यहाँ पर इंडस्ट्री लगाएं। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि हमारी जो आम जनता है वो खुशहाल रहे। और वो खुशहाल तभी रह सकती है जब हम इकॉनमी में बढ़ोत लाएं और इनकम बढ़ाएं, लोगों की इनकम बढ़ाएं। और वो तभी हो सकता है जब हम इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट करें। अगर हम इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट नहीं कर सकते तो लोग खुशहाल नहीं रह सकते। तो सर, पहले तो आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। ये जो नई आपने फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी लाई, बहुत पॉजिटिव पॉलिसी रही, और इस पॉलिसी से आम जनता और इंडस्ट्री काफ़ी खुश है। बट हमारी कुछ लोगों की कुछ समस्याएं हैं जो मैं आपके सामने रखना चाहूँगा। लिस्ट तो बहुत लंबी है, बट मैं बहुत संक्षिप्त में, बिकॉज लोग यहाँ पर आपको सुनने आए हैं, मेरे को सुनने नहीं आए, तो लिस्ट तो छोटी है। एक जो इशू था वो WTO कंप्लायंस का था कि जो SME सेक्टर हैं उनके लिए कंप्लायंस ऑफ WTO थोड़ा भारी पड़ता है, समझ में उनको कम आता है। तो अगर एक स्पेशल एजेंसी क्रिएट करी जाए और जब भी उनको कोई चीज़ WTO के मामले में समझना चाहे तो वो स्पेशल एजेंसी उनको समझा सकती है। एक था सर कि आप जानते हैं कि आज के दिन एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स, फूड प्रोडक्ट्स को जब हम एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली फूड प्रोडक्ट्स को, तो एक टेस्टिंग फैसिलिटीज़ होती है, जिसके कारण हम जब इन सबों का आयात करते हैं तो कई बार ये जो हमारे फार्मर्स हैं, जो हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स, वो रिजेक्ट कर दिए जाते हैं। तो एक टेस्ट सब्सिडाइज्ड टेस्टिंग फैसिलिटीज़ को हम अगर क्रिएट करें एट सब्सिडाइज्ड रेट, पर्टिकुलरली फॉर MSME सेक्टर, बिकॉज इसमें काफ़ी खर्च पड़ता है, टेस्टिंग फैसिलिटीज़ कराने में हमारे काफ़ी खर्च आते हैं, तो उसको अगर हम सब्सिडाइज्ड रेट में कराया जाए तो उनके लिए काफ़ी सहूलियत होगी और हमें हमारी एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ेगी। सर, एक है लोगों को ये लगता है कि कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन द स्टेक होल्डर्स एंड द गवर्नमेंट is not in full scale and not in a very, which I can say, of a 21st century standard, if I can use that word. तो अगर ये लैक ऑफ कोऑर्डिनेशन को गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज़ के साथ अगर कुछ सुलझाया जाए कि हम गवर्नमेंट से बेटर कोऑर्डिनेट कर सकें, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है। बिकॉज ये गवर्नमेंट कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ अगर हमारे स्टेक होल्डर के साथ गवर्नमेंट बात करे, चीत करे, हम लोगों को बीच में बुलाए, पर्टिकुलर एक एक इंडस्ट्री को लेके बीच में बुलाए, हमारी समस्याएं को समझें, तो हमारे काफ़ी सहूलियत होगी इस चीज़ को लेके। सर, एक है एक्सपोर्ट्स। आज आप जानते हैं सर कि सर्विसेज इज़ ए वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्टर, और सम और अदर हमारी जो इकॉनमी है उसमें सर्विस सेक्टर का योगदान आप जानते हैं कि सबसे बड़ा योगदान है। वर्ल्ड में तो 80% जीडीपी सर्विस सेक्टर के ऊपर निर्भर करती है। तो इसके ऊपर अगर हम थोड़ा फोकस दें सर्विस सेक्टर के ऊपर, मैं आपको जस्ट एक उदाहरण देना चाहता हूँ। 2 दिन पहले व्हेन द जर्मन काउंसिल केम टुडे 25 तारीख को हमारे चेंबर में जर्मन से इंडो जर्मन चेंबर से लोग आए थे और एक जर्मन काउंसिल जनरल कैलकाटा की आई थी। एक 13 बरस का लड़का 13 ईयर्स ओल्ड बॉय, उसने कहा मेरे को अब जर्मनी के जो काउंसिल जनरल आ रहे हैं उनसे हमको मुलाकात करनी है और वहाँ के जो इंडो जर्मन चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स है उससे हमको मुलाकात करनी है। तो वो 13 साल का लड़का आया, चेंबर में आया अपनी माँ के साथ, एंड मैं उनको ले गया उनके पास। तो बोला मैं जर्मनी में पढ़ाई करना चाहता हूँ और जर्मनी में ही नौकरी करना चाहता हूँ और न्यूक्लियर साइंस में पढ़ाई करना चाहता हूँ। अब आप देखिए इस उम्र में 13 साल का बच्चा बोला आज के दिन अगर पावर है, अगर वर्ल्ड की पावर को हम सॉल्व करना चाहते हैं तो वो हम न्यूक्लियर साइंस से ही सॉल्व कर सकते हैं, उसका ये मानना था। और वो बोला कि मैं जर्मन सीखूंगा और जब जर्मनी में जाके पढ़ूंगा और वहीं पर मैं नौकरी करूंगा। तो आज आप देखिए कि हमारे स्किल सेक्टर, हमारी जो स्किल की क्षमता है, हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमारे 4 लाख हमें स्किल सेक्टर में 4 लाख लोगों की आवश्यकता है यूरोप में, माने जर्मनी इटसेल्फ में। और उन्होंने कहा कि हमारी पॉपुलेशन एजिंग हो रही है, तो हमें तो यंग पॉपुलेशन। मैं बहुत कुछ नहीं बोलना चाहता हूँ, मैं केवल आपको ये बोल देना चाहता हूँ सर कि आज के दिन मोदी सरकार, लोग बोलते हैं मोदी सरकार ये करेगी वो करेगी। मैं तो मोदी सरकार को मास्टर ऑफ डेवलपमेंट, MODI, मास्टर ऑफ डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इंडिया मानता हूं। एंड मैं आशा करता हूं कि इस अगले 10 वर्षों में जो हम अमृतकाल बोलते हैं वो सचमुच में अमृतकाल होगा। हमारी इकोनॉमी 10 साल में $2 ट्रिलियन से $4 ट्रिलियन पहुंच गई। तो नेक्स्ट $8 ट्रिलियन हम 5 साल में पहुंचेंगे। तो हमारे की कोई 10 सालों में, तो मैं जरूर आशा करता हूं कि हमारी इकोनॉमी अगर नेक्स्ट 5 ईयर में 8 ट्रिलियन होती है तो नेक्स्ट अनदर 5 ईयर्स में 15 ट्रिलियन डॉलर हो जाएगी। और ये तभी पॉसिबल है सर जब आपकी सहायता मिले, आपका सहयोग मिले हमें। एंड मैं आशा करता हूँ हमारी जो समस्याएं होंगी, हमारे जो भी एक्सपोर्टर्स, हमारे जो भी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं, हम आपके पास एक डिटेल्ड मेमोरेंडम भेजेंगे। एंड मैं आशा करता हूँ उसके ऊपर आप नज़र डालेंगे। एंड इसी आशा के साथ दैट हमारे बिजनेस कम्युनिटी खुशहाल रहे, संपन्न रहे और बिना तकलीफ के बिजनेस कर पाए, इनके ऊपर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं हो। हम लोग तो कंट्रोल युग के लोग हैं। जब मैं प्रोफेशन में आया था तो केवल कंट्रोल 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 चलता था। प्राइस कंट्रोल है तो सीमेंट कंट्रोल है तो इंपोर्ट एंड एक्सपोर्ट कंट्रोल है, केवल कंट्रोल ही कंट्रोल था सर। आज के दिन तो विदाउट कंट्रोल है हम। सो इस विदाउट कंट्रोल की दुनिया में हम जरूर उन्नति करेंगे, आपका सहयोग रहेगा। धन्यवाद, बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir, for your valuable remarks. May I now request our guest in chief, Shri Sunil Barthwal, Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, to kindly deliver the keynote address.
Namaskar and a very good afternoon to all of you. Shri N.G. Khetan, who is the president of this Bharat Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Arun Chawla, who I remember as ex-DG of FICCI, Mr. Agrawal and Mrs. Sharma, all the captains of industry who are sitting here, ladies and gentlemen. I was thinking, what should I be speaking to you? But I think all the contours have been laid by Mr. Khetan about what I should be speaking to you. And I think I've noted it down. It is one full page. नहीं, खेतान साहब ने जो पॉइंट्स बताए, और ये जो मैं आपको थोड़ा बताता हूँ कि उन्होंने काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें कहीं, और कई चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जिन पर मैं भी कहना चाहता हूँ, बट मुझे लगता है कि समय का थोड़ा अभाव होगा. लेकिन आपने जो एक बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण बात कही, and that is very important from the point of view of policy making, कि जब हम पॉलिसी बनाते हैं तो पॉलिसी किस प्रकार से बननी चाहिए. और मेरा हमेशा से मानना रहा है, मैं जब EPFO में एज CPFC था, और इसीलिए खेतान साहब ने जब कहा कि चावला साहब को उनको कहना पड़ा मुझे यहाँ लाने के लिए, तो मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि एज CPFC मुझे कई बार ये लगता था, एंड आई यूज्ड टू फील that unless and until you understand the problems, the issues of the stakeholders, you cannot reform your organization, or you cannot bring reforms in policy. And therefore we started this kind of a symposium, and I used to do it regularly. I did it with FICCI, I did it with CII, where we used to meet the important stakeholders, important industries, and used to find out from them that what are their issues with EPFO. And we were able to then reform EPFO in such a manner. I don't know what is the present situation, but during COVID period, we were able to distribute rupees 1 lakh crore in a very short period of time when people needed it very, very badly. And EPFO, which used to take about more than 1 month to give those monies back, because it is their saving only, it used to take more than a month. And then we realized that in COVID period, if we are not able to act fast, then it has no meaning. And we started delivering it within 3 days time period. And we were able to achieve that. And that was because of this learning which we learned from the feedback. Therefore, feedback is very, very essential. And my purpose of coming here, although Mr. Khetan said, and I also believe that I could not come to Kolkata and West Bengal so often, but yes, I mean, this is one of the most prominent states, land belonging to, from where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose came, from where Rabindranath Tagore came. And, which is the land of the cultural renaissance of this country. So I'm very glad that I'm with all of you. I feel really very happy that I'm able to meet so many of you. Yesterday, in fact, I interacted with some of you, particularly the young generation, and I understand that how, how much you are not only happy about, the current policies and the things which are happening and the kind of inspirational leadership which is there in the country, but you are also looking forward to a very bright future. And Mr. Khaitan told that, yes, if we look towards our journey in terms of GDP, in terms of per capita income, in terms of exports, it's very, very positive. It's very, very encouraging. And everybody feels that things are moving up for the better. Things are looking rosy. Of course, I understand that when you do business, there are a lot of impediments. Business, despite, we have done so much of ease of doing business, but still we feel that there are issues which we need to be addressing. And therefore, this kind of a symposium is very, very important to me personally, to Department of Commerce. And Mr. Khaitan rightly pointed out that commerce is a department which cuts across many different line ministries. He raised the issue of one particular issue of chemicals and fertilizers. When we are doing FTAs, each and every FTA, you will find it very difficult to imagine. But not only so much of stakeholder consultation we do, but also consultation with the line ministries to understand that where is our export competitiveness, where our exporters can gain in terms of trade, and which are the areas where trade can become the engine of growth. Now, when you talk about the foreign trade policy, which we brought out in last year, there are three aspects to it. The foreign trade policy, which we brought out, three very important aspects of that foreign trade policy. The first part is that how to make our exports competitive. And I will come to it, that how we propose to do so. Second part is that in what way we should be facilitating exports. So the role of a facilitator. And the third very important part is how to promote trade. As you are aware that when we started on our industrial policy in India, we were inward looking. We thought that we have a huge domestic market to cater to, huge population base, very vast country. And we thought that if we are able to cater to the domestic demand, that will lead to industrialization. But when we looked at the Asian miracle of the so-called Asian tigers, and we realized that these small countries, because they did not have that huge domestic market, but they integrated themselves so well with the international trade that their GDPs grew at a much faster rate. And therefore, this government looks at trade not as a substitution of something which we need to do domestically, but how to grow the GDP through trade and through international relations. If you look at trade today, in fact, last 2 years were excellent years for us. Because normally, if you look at the total volume of trade, it never crossed $500 billion. But for the first time, last 2 years, it crossed $750 billion. And that's a huge growth. That's a huge growth. And based on that achievement, today, when we looked at our foreign trade policy, we said that it is possible for us that by 2030, we should be able to reach $2 trillion of exports. $1 trillion in merchandise and $1 trillion in services. When Mr. Khaitan mentioned services, and I will come to that, this normally people don't understand because services appears to be very intangible. Merchandise exports everybody can see. But when we looked at the figures last year, we found that there is a huge scope for services sector to grow. And that potential perhaps we have yet to realize, we have yet to work upon, and we have to look at what are the impediments which are preventing the services sector growth. Of course, when the IT sector came to us and there were issues with respect to SEZs because they found that, the whole buildings which were constructed and, post-COVID, people wanted to work from home and they could see that some of the area was not getting utilized. We came out, and that is what I call that feedback-based, policy reforms. We heard them, they told us that, you change the regulations regarding working from home in SEZs, we did that. They told us that, floor-wise area demarcation which you have done, unless and until, you can divide it between DTA and the SEZ, we accepted that demand and we went ahead and we did that. So we have been looking at whatever feedback is coming from you, we are looking at it, and let me tell you that whatever feedback comes on merchandise as well as on services, definitely we will take into account, and we would like to see that how we are able to reach these two goals of merchandise and services exports. When we are looking at the globe post-COVID, one thing is very, very certain. That globe has realized that countries like India, which are democracies, vibrant democracies, which have very robust institutions, and I will come back to one of the other robust institutions which we have in terms of arbitration, in terms of how our courts deliver, how our laws are implemented. And these robust mechanisms, the robust democracy, the robust institutional framework, post-COVID, many of the countries have realized that it requires resilience in their global value chains. Today, the whole trade is happening in value chains. We have looked at how, one simple assembly of iPhones in India has led to immense possibilities of growth in the value chain which consists of an iPhone or say any mobile phone. It requires camera, it requires battery, it requires the cover with the glass, it requires the ICs, it requires the whole software system, it requires whole marketing network, international marketing network. And when you look at the whole value chain And then if you look at your businesses, that where do I fit in into that value chain? Let me tell you, in fact, I had gone to Sri Perambadur and other parts of Tamil Nadu just to see where, these kind of factories are operating, which are operating in the value chain. And, when I visited one shoe factory which produces shoe for exports, I was really surprised to see that some of the items which look very, very simple and perhaps, we are not able to imagine why we are not able to produce it. For example, glue. Glue to paste the shoe and the sole was getting imported. And when I asked them that why you are not able to find vendors here who can replace it, the simple answer was that no vendor is able to match those kind of qualities or the quality standard which the manufacturer demands. So I think we need to look at, and there is this whole global outlook which is telling us that the world wants to integrate with India. In fact, if you look at the kind of demand which is coming for our free trade agreements, every country is looking towards India, wanted to do FTAs. You mentioned about, Mr. Khaitan mentioned about Africa Desk. And I understand that Africa, which is full of minerals today, and we require, because there is this energy transition commitments which we have taken under INDC, under UNFCCC, that we have to go for those kind of energy technologies which currently may not be available in India. We have plans for green hydrogen. We have plans for renewables. We have plans for improving the battery storage, not only for electricity, but also for cars and mobility for our electric vehicles. In fact, the whole world is looking at, when we were doing this FTA, and negotiations are still on, they are looking at our EV market. And they know that it is going to be so huge that they are looking at the export potential from today. That what will be the size of the EV market in India tomorrow and how UK should be able to gain out of it. So the whole set of countries now feel that value chains have to be diversified. So therefore, we have this opportunity to chip in over there. They feel that value chains have to be resilient, because we remember, when chips could not come from Taiwan, and when we were producing our vehicles could not move. And world's vehicles could not move because that one country which was supplying chips, ICs for cars, they could not bring that car out of the factory because it cannot run without those ICs. And the way the globe is integrating, this is our policy, and this is the part of our foreign trade policy, that how we can take advantage of this large global value chain. We earlier used to think that anything which comes to India in terms of imports, that is a threat to us. Because then how will I grow? I have a very nascent industry, I have a very small industry. If those imports start coming in, I may not be able to grow. And always our attitude was to stop imports. to prevent imports, to protect my industry. But no longer today, in this world, if you look at the value chain concept, you will find that everybody has scope. If you have a competitive advantage in producing one part, and that particular part of a particular final product you are manufacturing in India, but not just for the domestic market, but for the whole of the globe. In fact, when we were discussing how the iPhone value chain has to get diversified in India, we looked at component manufacturing, which is again huge in this world. The whole, if you look at iPhone, we talked about the GDPs of the countries. iPhone, Apple company is almost GDP of countries like us. More than $3 trillion. So I think today, in today's world, and particularly the young generation, which is so much enthused about what is happening in India, and they look that they have a great future, they should look at manufacturing in a manner in which, instead of looking for protection, you should be looking how best you can integrate with the world. And what are those items in the value chain where you have the comparative advantage? And government will be with you to develop that comparative advantage for you. So I think unless and until we are competitive in manufacturing, and let me again tell you one more thing. When we produce for the domestic sector, that is also the product which we export normally. We can't keep two sets of manufacturing chains, which sometimes, some people do. But we can't do that. No longer we can't do that. We can do that. Because the same quality, and we are going for the quality standards, we are going for QCOs, compulsory standards for our domestic market too, so that whatever you produce, one part you can sell it domestically, and the same part you can sell it and export. That will also take care of your business cycles. And this is what also we are doing when we are looking at our SEZ, that what we should do so that a producer not only produces, say, only for exports or only for the domestic market, but a producer looks at both the markets simultaneously. What I can sell for my domestic market, what I can sell in terms of exports. There may be business cycles. Today, export market may be down. You sell it in the domestic market. Tomorrow, export markets are better. You sell it in the export market. So there should be that kind of a flexibility. So the foreign trade policy is looking at the ways and means how you can improve your export competitiveness, your manufacturing competitiveness. And therefore, in fact, we believe that the industrial policy of the country and the foreign trade policy of the country are intertwined. They cannot be two separate kind of a policies. If you are not able to manufacture products at cheaper rates, with better standards, with better quality, perhaps you disappoint your domestic market and you are not able to penetrate into the export market. So I think both the things are required, and I think that is the message we should go to the young generation. Mr. Khaitan also mentioned that, you see, if you look at the global trade nowadays, if you look at those countries where we want to export, say Europe, US, those countries are raising their standards in terms of the product quality. We take up those issues with those countries, whether they are SPS issues, sanitary and phytosanitary kind of requirements, particularly in the food products. We look at, the technical standards of our products, because if you look at the kind of technical standards, if you are using an iPhone or any mobile phone, what is the requirement for transmission? What is the requirement for the noise level? For everything there are standards, and we have to adhere to those standards. And those standards are becoming more and more difficult. So, we are also fighting that. In fact, when we are looking at our foreign trade, we are also aware of the fact that Europe is bringing out or has brought out the kind of CBAM regulations, where they are saying that how much carbon is contained, the taxation over there will be according to that, because they are also looking at giving level playing field to their industry. So it may become tougher and tougher in terms of exports to produce that quality, but if we are conscious of the fact that in the global value chain, we can produce that particular quality for that particular product, I think we benefit out of it. So I think that is the kind of thing which we need to look at. Now, what is the policy orientation? Mr. Khetan also mentioned about, we have to be WTO compliant country. We have seen that some of our older schemes, there were issues, a lot of disputes were raised in WTO because they thought that we are providing incentive. In fact, still some confusion is going on even about our RoTEP scheme. But we are very clear in our mind, and that is the international practice, that we don't export our taxes. We only export our products. And RoTEP scheme is that whatever are the duties, whatever are the taxes, whatever are the levies, or the local levies sometimes, by the municipality or others, we should be able to provide you that remission. So we are moving away from an incentive kind of a scheme, which is not WTO compliant, to a remission kind of a scheme where you are not compelled to, with the burden of the duties which are there on your products. And that is how our schemes are getting planned. I will be very happy that if you can tell me that how these schemes where you find disabilities, and this is a very, very important concept when we are looking at the manufacturing competitiveness. You know that, the whole PLI scheme which government has designed is based on this concept, that are our manufacturers getting the level playing field or not? And if there are disabilities, then how those disabilities should be removed, and what is the percentage of that disability. So we have come out with PLI which looks at these disabilities. We have come out with RoTEP scheme which looks at these disabilities. We have come out with our interest equalization scheme, because we find that if you raise a loan outside and the other manufacturer who is competing with you in terms of exports, they have lower rate of interest. We may be having slightly higher rate of interest. So how to compensate? So our interest equalization scheme is based on that fact, that there is a disability, your credit is costly, so how to reduce that credit cost? So the whole approach now would be, and I would be very glad to hear from all of you, that which are those disabilities which do not allow you to give the level playing field. Because as India, and as rightly pointed out, such a large country, such a large democracy, which has reached where we are 5th largest in the world today, and we are going to be 3rd largest tomorrow, we cannot believe in the concept of incentivization or incentives. But we should be asking the whole world that I'm looking at my manufacturing, I'm looking at my exporters so that I can give them level playing field. And that is also our endeavor in our FTAs. When we are doing these FTAs, with other countries. We are telling them. And Mr. Khaitan also mentioned that when our workers go, we do their skilling, their demographies are, they are a declining population, they require people. So how we can improve our visa regime? In fact, these are the issues we are taking up in FTAs, that how inter-corporate transferees, how they can move easily, how business visas can be made more simple and easy, how the independent professionals, this is another category, independent professionals. Independent professionals is a category now in the world in terms of the services sector, which has become very, very important in its own sense. Those business professionals, whether they are chartered accountant, whether they are cost accountant, whether they are financial service providers, whether they are IT professionals, other kind of professionals, how their movement can become easier. And we are looking at the FTAs from that point of view, that they should be facilitated. These are the kind of facilitation which we are bringing in our trade policy, in our free trade agreements, so that the services sector can grow. But at the same time, when we do these bilateral agreements or multilateral agreements, you have to also concede. It is not that you can only ask from the globe and you say that, no, I cannot give, but I will only take. And when we open up our services sector or merchandise sector, we have to be very, very clear to what extent we can face competition and to what extent these disabilities should be removed. But we cannot, move in a world where there is no equal give and take. So that equal give and take has to happen. And therefore in FTAs, I think you need to introspect. And I know Bharat Chamber of Commerce, the oldest, the largest, one of the most reputed chambers of commerces, particularly, in West Bengal. You must introspect. You must introspect that what should be our policy in terms of protection, what should be our policy in terms of give and take in these free trade agreements, and which are the sectors where we feel that we can compete, particularly in the services sector. Services sector, many times, we find that perhaps we are afraid. In manufacturing also, sometimes, we feel, okay, there are certain sectors which need protection, definitely, because the concept is till you grow, you become adult, you need some protection like infant gets. But then beyond a point, look at our automobile sector. So I think this introspection has to happen. Coordination with government, Mr. Khaitan raised this issue. Yes, we have these export promotion councils. And for each sector, there are these export promotion councils. If you suggest that, how we can improve the functioning of our export promotion councils, because we are always interacting with them. In fact, every month we interact with them collectively and also separately with those export promotion councils. So how, you tell us how we can improve the functioning of our export promotion council, how our interaction of the government with the export promotion council and the bodies like yours, how we can improve. Definitely we would like to do that. SME sector is very, very important to us. SME sector is very important to us. In fact, let me tell you that in the last G20, we took a very, very important decision, and that decision was that for SME, there should be one single international portal. And we talked to International Trade Center in Geneva, and they are working on it. They are developing that portal so that our SMEs, they get all sorts of information on what are the trade conditions anywhere in the world so that they can export their products. We also believe that particularly the micro enterprises, the small enterprises and micro enterprises, e-commerce is going to be a very big gateway for international trade to them. We have tasted the fruits of e-commerce domestically, but I think if we look at the export market in terms of e-commerce, it is huge. In fact, we are also targeting that about $200 billion of e-commerce we should be able to achieve by 2030. When we are talking about $1 trillion of merchandise exports, we are saying that at least 20%, and that is what I feel that it is going to go in that direction. So please look at e-commerce sector with a lot of optimism. And that is important to us. And that is why in the FTP, we have raised that limit of consignment from the value of that consignment from rupees 5 lakh to rupees 10 lakhs. So how e-commerce can become a engine for growth, I think, and engine for helping the small and micro enterprises, I think that is going to be very, very important. I'm very glad that you have opened that Africa desk, because we are looking at critical minerals in Africa and Latin America. In fact, we are going to, we have started negotiations with Peru and Chile in Latin America so that there is a value chain. When battery making has to happen in India for the electric vehicles, then definitely we need to have the resources available for those batteries. And they have to come from countries like, or the continents like Africa. You mentioned about Bangladesh border. Yes, we want to improve relations with our neighbors so that neighboring country, at least the transportation costs are very low. I remember, when we were looking at how this Suez Canal route got affected, and then how, the whole global transport started moving from Cape of Good Hope, how much cost it increased for the whole global trade. So I think neighborhood hearts, neighborhood custom facilitation, neighborhood cross-border facilitation is very, very important. We should do that. Marine exports, marine exports, particularly, if you look at the way we are doing our marine exports, shrimps particularly, and when we look at, we found that, in fact, we did one symposium on marine exports, and we found that what we are exporting marine exports in raw form. Whereas other countries are doing some value addition into that, converting into a product, converting into sushi or something else, and they are gaining much more than what we are. So I think some of these, agriculture exports, we are focusing on value addition, particularly food processing. So if you are able to do good packaging, if you are able to do packaging, which improves the shelf life of those products, it is better to go for value-added products rather than to go for the raw products. So whether it is food or marine, I think we should be able to do that. I think you must be waiting for lunch, and then one symposium is not enough to discuss the commerce and manufacturing issues of India. But let me tell you 2-3 points very briefly. We understand that trade promotion is very, very important. And therefore, we are creating this Global Trade Promotion Organization, GTPO. We are aligning with Invest India, and we will be hiring people. We are also telling our missions abroad that how they can be useful tool. We are going for buyer-seller meets, reverse buyer-seller meets. We are going for very large exhibitions. In fact, we had 2 food expos where international buyers came. We are going for Bharat Mobility, which is starting on 1st of February, 1st, 2nd and 3rd of February, where the whole automobile sector, right from the whole value chain, including auto parts, auto components, tires, everything. We are going for a very large world-scale kind of exhibition in Delhi in Bharat Mandapam. So we are focusing on this, how we can, do this trade promotion. I was talking about one issue, and I was discussing with Mr. Chawla and Mr. Ketan that, dispute resolution, particularly in the field of trade, and when we sign an FTA, we also talk about what will be the institutional mechanism for dispute resolution, dispute settlement. And I find that bodies like Indian Council of Arbitration, these are doing a very, very important job, because we will be requiring for dispute resolution large number of professionals. We will require a very strong institution where the international party can also have faith in us, so that when a judgment is passed or an arbitration award is passed, then it is respected by both the parties, and people should not be then taking recourse to the courts. So I think as the trade grows, as we integrate more and more with the foreign nationals internationally, the role of arbitration in solving commercial disputes is going to be a very, very important instrument. And it requires a very robust institution. And therefore, I feel that I must congratulate all of you that wonderful work is going on, and you will be able to do that further. So, in the end, I would only say that yes, we are looking forward to the Amrit Kal, where we can, in 2047, we can reach more than $30 trillion of economy. And I don't know where we will be positioned at that point of time. But that is the path which we have decided for ourselves. We have this huge dividend of young generation of entrepreneurs, startups, which have unbound imagination and aspiration. And we feel that they will take forward this country to those global heights. And India is at the sweet spot today. The whole world is looking at India in a very, very different manner. Whether it is the cultural renaissance which is happening in India, whether it is the industrial renaissance which is happening in India, or it is the international relationship renaissance which is happening in India. And therefore, I feel what Honorable Prime Minister says, I will repeat his words, that yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. So I think we are at the cusp of history, where we can really build this country, really great again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shri Barthwal, for your enlightening keynote address covering the diverse range of subjects affecting trade and industry. We will now open the floor for questions. Can we please have a mic over here? So in the...
You see, we have already crossed 2 hours. We were supposed to close it by 1, but the session has been so interesting. But I think maybe 2-3 questions. I think Ganesh is a leader on solar power, that renewable energy, which is a very important area, and we want to go for renewable energy. And sir, he is a pioneer of renewable energy, Ganesh is also our corporate member. So Ganesh, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, thank you so much, sir. This was a very powerful keynote speech, and I think you being here says that the East is also an important part of the overall scheme of things. I had a few submissions. I think manufacturing for India is the center stage of everything that we do. You talked about the demographic dividend, 1.5 million people graduating every year. I think we need to enhance and encourage manufacturing in all respects. For that reason, the PLI scheme was introduced, and there were other things like interest equalization and other things. What is your thought on the future of SEZs? I feel that
Future of?
SEZs,
SEZs.
because there are certain things that have been planned, but maybe it's taking time, or there are impediments towards it. But in the meantime, the SEZ infrastructure is kind of languishing and not being able to cope with the demand because there are internal structural impediments. So a little bit of light on that, sir.
Yeah. So the SEZ policy reform is a very, very important reform for us, and a lot of deliberations have happened, stakeholder consultation have happened, and now we are coming very close to certain reforms which we will be doing. Now these reforms are coming with an understanding that today when you have to compete, you require a scale, and scale economies is very, very important. Now, if you are competing with somebody else which is producing both for the domestic market as well as for the export market, and that scale becomes X plus Y, and your scale is only X or Y, you cannot compete with somebody who has got a scale which is X plus Y. So we want to, we are looking at that this artificial division of movement of goods from SEZ to DTAs or vice versa. This is creating a lot of, I will not say incompetitiveness, but I will say that it is making both the producers, whether they are at DTA or whether they are at SEZ, less competitive than somebody who is doing X plus Y. So how we can make this X or Y, SEZ and DTA converge together in terms of production, scale of production, and how we should look at taxes and other things in a manner by which this competitiveness enhances. That is the kind of policy reform which we are looking at, and I'm very confident that with our preparatory work, it will see the light of the day. Yes.
Thank you, sir. I think, sir, the Honorable Finance Minister announced the day scheme 2 years ago, and since then we've been very excited. So I hope that this happens sooner before we run out of time. Thank you, sir.
So what our honorable guest has suggested, that he has taken my suggestion that he will be considering whatever issues we have. We give him a list of issues. I have various issues. I mean, members have given me various issues. On the marine one, sir, the issue was raised by, and I think the gentleman wanted to, the tea fraternity wanted to raise an issue. So there are many issues. We can go on and on and on, and this seminar will never end. So I will suggest that each industry, each sector of the industry sends their suggestion to Bharat Chamber of Commerce, and we will forward it to the Commerce Minister. And I'm sure he said that, he likes interaction. So if he likes interaction, maybe again we can ask him to come to Calcutta and, help make our life easier. So I'm sure he would, since he goes to other parts of India, I'm sure he would come to Calcutta. So we have the question, and we will not have a more question because already 1:45. It will go on and go on. So we will have to stop that. Yes.
Thank you, sir. We have almost come towards the end of this very interesting symposium. And before I request Shri Rajkumar Agrawal, Vice President of the Chamber, to propose the vote of thanks, we have mementos for our guest-in-chief. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Dr. Lal Hingorani, Chairman Shefexil, which is Shellac and Forest Products Export Promotion Council with us, who has come all the way from Mumbai for attending this symposium. I would request Dr. Hingorani to present his memento to our guest-in-chief. Thank you, Dr. Hingorani. May I now request our President, Shri N.G. Khaitan, to present the memento to our guest-in-chief, Shri Sunil Barthwal, is the peacock, the national bird of India. Thank you so much, sir. We have one more memento for our guest-in-chief, and I would request Shri Rajkumar Agrawal, Vice President of the Chamber, to present the memento to our guest-in-chief. Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Shri Agrawal to kindly deliver the vote of thanks and conclude today's symposium.
Shri Barthwal, members of Bharat Chamber of Commerce and Indian Council of Arbitration, guests and friends. At the end of a very interesting symposium today, it is my pleasure to propose a hearty vote of thanks to Shri Barthwal, IAS, Guest-in-Chief, Commerce Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Thank you, sir, for sparing some of your valuable time to come to Calcutta and address us and share your enlightening observations on unveiling India's new foreign trade policy for India's growth. It was indeed our privilege to learn from you and about the recent strides the government of India is making under your able leadership to boost the growth of sustainable business ecosystem as well as to strengthen commercial engagements between India and the rest of the world. Thank you again for sharing your valuable insights with us. My thanks are due to the representatives of the media for their presence at this event. With these words, I request all of you to kindly join me in carrying a hearty vote of thanks to Shri Barthwal with appreciative acclamation.